You think Marcus Aurelius was just another philosopher king, scribbling meditations in his tent while Rome burned? Think again. This was a man who ruled the most powerful empire on earth, not with brute force alone, but with a mind sharper than any sword. He didn't just study Stoicism, he weaponized it. And if you're sitting there, scrolling through life, waiting for motivation to strike, you're missing the point. Marcus didn't wait. He acted. He controlled his emotions, his enemies, and an entire empire because he understood the dark psychology of power, the kind of wisdom that doesn't just inspire, but dominates. Let's cut through the romanticized version of history. This wasn't some gentle sage. This was a ruler who knew how to bend reality to his will. And if you want to command your own life with the same ruthless clarity, you'd better pay attention. Because the first truth is this: power isn't given. It's taken. And Marcus took it, not by screaming orders, but by mastering the one thing most people never will: himself. You've been told Stoicism is about passive acceptance, about enduring suffering quietly. Wrong. Marcus used it as a psychological warfare tactic. While others were slaves to their emotions, he turned discipline into domination. He didn't just react to chaos, he orchestrated it. When barbarians threatened Rome, when plagues wiped out cities, when senators plotted behind his back, he didn't crumble. He calculated. And here's the question you need to ask yourself. When life throws its worst at you, do you fold? Or do you command the situation? Marcus didn't rise to power by hoping for a better day. He created it. And if you're still waiting for the universe to hand you control, you've already lost. The lesson? Master your mind, or someone else will master you. Marcus Aurelius didn't just rule Rome, he rewired it. While weak leaders begged for loyalty, he engineered it through psychological dominance. Think about it. How does a man maintain absolute authority in an empire drowning in betrayal, war, and decadence? Not by being nice. Not by hoping people would do the right thing. He did it by understanding the darkest levers of human nature: fear, respect, and the unshakable perception of invincibility. You think his famous meditations were just poetic musings? No, they were battle plans for the mind, a systematic breakdown of how to strip away weakness and weaponize reason. Every word he wrote was a mirror held up to his own soul, ensuring he never became the kind of fool he had to govern. And that's where most people fail. They refuse to confront their own flaws, so they never gain real control. Here's the brutal truth. Marcus didn't trust anyone. Not fully. Not his generals, not his allies, not even his own son. He knew that power is a game of shadows, where the moment you show vulnerability, the wolves circle. So he played the game better than anyone. He let his enemies think they had the upper hand, only to dismantle them with cold precision. He didn't waste energy on rage or revenge. He redirected it into strategy. And that's the difference between a leader and a follower. One acts from calculation, the other from impulse. So ask yourself, are you making decisions from a place of calm mastery? Or are you still a slave to your emotions? Because until you can detach, analyze, and strike with intent, you're just another pawn in someone else's empire. You think you're in control of your life? Marcus Aurelius would laugh at your delusion. The man who held Rome in his grip understood a fundamental truth. Most people are prisoners of their own minds, reacting to impulses, fears, and external validation like puppets on strings. Stoicism wasn't just his philosophy, it was his operating system, a way to hack past human weakness and reprogram himself into an unstoppable force. While you scroll, complain, and procrastinate, Marcus was asking himself one relentless question. What is within my power? Everything else, opinions, setbacks, even death, was noise. And here's the uncomfortable punchline. You have far more control than you admit, but you willingly surrender it every day to distractions, excuses, and petty emotions. Let's shatter the fantasy. You didn't choose to be distracted. You were engineered to be. The modern world is Rome's circus magnified, endless bread and games designed to keep you passive. But Marcus, He saw through the spectacle. He trained himself to focus only on what he could influence, and the rest he ignored with terrifying discipline. While others begged fate for mercy, he bent it to his will by sheer refusal to play the victim. So ask yourself, how much of your life is truly yours? How many decisions do you make from a place of sovereignty rather than fear or habit? Because until you confront the illusions that control you, you'll never wield real power. The Stoics didn't preach freedom, they preached ownership. And the moment you take full responsibility for your mind, you become dangerous. Most people think detachment means not caring, but Marcus Aurelius turned it into a superpower. While emperors before him were destroyed by paranoia or decadence, he mastered the art of engaging fully with the world while remaining untouchable at his core. Imagine standing in the heart of Rome, surrounded by scheming politicians, screaming mobs, and the weight of an empire's survival on your shoulders, and yet maintaining absolute inner stillness. That wasn't meditation, that was tactical dominance. Modern psychology calls this emotional regulation. Marcus called it survival. While you get derailed by a rude comment or a bad day, this man faced betrayals and plagues without losing strategic focus. What's your excuse? Here's what nobody tells you about Stoic detachment. It's not about suppressing emotions. It's about making them irrelevant to your decisions. Marcus let himself feel anger, grief, fear, then deliberately chose not to act from those places. That's the difference that built empires. Today, people either explode at every provocation or numb themselves into apathy. Both are failures of control. The modern equivalent, that notification dopamine hit that hijacks your focus, that political outrage that wastes your energy, that toxic relationship you keep feeding. Marcus would ask, does this serve Rome? And if not, he cut it without hesitation. Your version? Does this serve my purpose? If not, why is it still in your life? Detachment isn't coldness. It's the ultimate act of self-preservation in a world designed to drain you. Master it or remain a slave to everything and everyone. You curse your problems like they're some cosmic mistake. Marcus Aurelius used his like blacksmiths use fire to forge himself into something unbreakable. Chronic pain, he called it training. Betrayal, an opportunity to practice discernment. The Antonine Plague that killed millions, a reminder that death comes for all. So act now. This wasn't positive thinking. This was psychological warfare against weakness itself. While you complain about your bad luck, Marcus was running a mental algorithm. How does this make me stronger? The barbarians at the gates weren't just enemies. They were sparring partners for his resolve. Your obstacles? They're not blocking your path. They are the path. Let's gut the lie you've been sold. Adversity doesn't build character. It reveals it. Marcus didn't overcome his struggles. He absorbed them until they became part of his arsenal. When his co-emperor Lucius Verus, a reckless hedonist, nearly bankrupted Rome with orgies, Marcus didn't whine. He studied the spectacle like a physician dissecting disease. Your toxic co-worker? That financial stress? That's your Lucius Verus. The question isn't, why is this happening to me? It's, what is this teaching me about control? Modern life has given you the illusion that comfort equals success. Marcus knew it's the fastest route to decay. The plague that ravaged Rome became his teacher on mortality. The Germanic wars forced him to innovate military strategy. Your problems are the exact raw materials you need to build a version of yourself that can't be stopped. Start treating them that way. You scroll. You procrastinate. You tell yourself someday. Meanwhile, Marcus Aurelius woke every morning whispering, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say." This wasn't morbid obsession, it was the ultimate performance hack. While modern gurus sell you 10x productivity, Marcus hacked time itself by confronting a truth you're still too cowardly to face. Your death isn't distant. It's breathing down your neck this very second, and every moment you waste is treason against your potential. He didn't just accept mortality. He leveraged it like a general uses terrain, turning what paralyzes most men into his greatest tactical advantage. Here's the psychological jiu-jitsu you're missing. Your brain is hardwired to ignore death until it's too late. Marcus short-circuited this flaw by making mortality his daily advisor. Before every decision, sending troops into battle, judging a traitor, even choosing his words, he asked, "If this were my last act, would it be worthy?" The result? A life without trivialities, without wasted breath. Compare that to your existence. Cluttered with nonsense arguments, half-hearted efforts, and the cowardice of "I'll start tomorrow." The plague that killed a quarter of Rome didn't make Marcus despair. It lit a fire under every action. Your deadlines? Your aging body? Your dwindling time? These aren't tragedies, they're your ally. The clock isn't your enemy. Your delusion of endless time is. Start dying properly, and you might finally start living. Discipline isn't motivation. It's not inspiration. It's occupation, the systematic seizure of your mind's weak territories before laziness can dig its trenches. Marcus Aurelius didn't feel like leading an empire through war and plague any more than you feel like waking up early. The difference? He turned discipline into a military operation. His legions didn't debate whether to show up for battle, and neither did his mind. While you negotiate with your alarm clock, Marcus was drafting mental treaties with ironclad terms. When X happens, I do Y, no deliberation. No Stoic waffling about balance. No democratic vote with his weaker self. Pure autocracy over his own impulses. Let's autopsy your discipline problem. You've been sold the lie that resistance is natural. Bullshit. Resistance is habit, and habits are installed through ruthless repetition. Marcus didn't wait to build willpower. He engineered scenarios where failure wasn't an option. Sleeping on the ground as emperor. Eating soldiers' rations during feasts. These weren't humble-brag austerity moves, they were stress tests for his psyche. Your version? Delete the delivery apps at 2 a.m. Schedule the gym session when you're most exhausted. Marcus didn't avoid temptation. He marched straight through it until it lost all power over him. The lesson is brutal. Discipline isn't cultivated. It's enforced. Your mind is a rebellious province. Start governing it like Rome. You've been brainwashed into believing rest is sacred and discomfort is toxic. Meanwhile, Marcus Aurelius presided over war councils while coughing up blood from tuberculosis, writing in his journal not about his right to rest, but about his duty to persist. Modern self-care would have gotten Rome sacked before noon. This isn't about glorifying suffering. It's about exposing the lie that you're one cozy day away from becoming your best self. Marcus knew the truth. Character isn't grown in comfort zones. It's forged in the friction between what you want now and what you're built to become. Your mental health day is often just cowardice dressed in therapy speak. Let's dissect the scam. Real self-care isn't bubble baths and avoidance. It's the brutal maintenance of your war machine. Marcus' version? Pre-dawn philosophical study while others slept. Cold baths in winter. Deliberate exposure to criticism to thicken his skin. Compare that to your existence, where inconvenience is treated like trauma and every minor stress demands recovery time. The Stoics had a concept called amor fati, the love of fate. Not passive acceptance, but aggressive engagement with every obstacle as raw material for growth. Your life isn't lacking opportunity, it's drowning in softness. Rome wasn't built on boundaries and safe spaces. It was built on men who understood that true strength comes not from avoiding storms, but from learning to sail in hell's own winds. Start treating comfort like the enemy it is. The greatest power move in history wasn't an empire's expansion. It was a man's complete ownership of his inner world. Marcus Aurelius commanded legions, but his real victory was that no external force could command him. Here's the paradox they don't teach you. True control begins when you stop demanding it from the world and start imposing it on yourself. While you rage against traffic, algorithms, and unfair systems, Marcus faced actual barbarians and plagues. Yet his journal obsesses not over their actions, but over his reactions. That's the ultimate power play, rendering external chaos irrelevant by perfecting internal order. Your life isn't out of control, you've just been outsourcing the controls like a naive monarch. Let's expose the modern sickness. You've been taught that freedom means unlimited options. Marcus knew it's the opposite. Freedom is the ruthless elimination of all that doesn't matter. While you drown in 500-channel entertainment and infinite scrolling, he limited his advisors to a handful of Stoic principles. Your brain is a kingdom overrun by digital barbarians. Social media notifications as modern-day Visigoths sacking your attention span. Marcus' remedy? The four-word mental purge. This is not important. Apply that to 90% of what clutters your mind today, and watch your personal empire rise from the ashes of distraction. Sovereignty isn't given or found. It's carved from the raw material of your choices, one no at a time. Start ruling. The clock is ticking louder than Roman war drums. Every second you hesitate, another piece of your potential falls to the barbarians of mediocrity. Marcus didn't scribble those meditations for historians. He wrote them as a battle cry for you, here in this moment of decision. This isn't about ancient history, it's about the war inside your skull right now. You stand at the same crossroads he faced daily. Succumb to chaos or become it. The Stoics weren't philosophers, they were mental gladiators, and the Colosseum is your mirror. Every morning you hit snooze, every excuse you coddle, every triviality you entertain is another surrender. Rome didn't fall in a day. It rotted from weak men whispering tomorrow. Here's your final edict. Walk out of this mental prison or die in it. Not later, today. Not in theory, in action. Tear the someday lie from your throat and replace it with Marcus' last recorded words. Go to your task. Not when you're ready. Not when it's easy. Now, the barbarians aren't coming. They're here. In your distractions, your compromises, your unlived life. The dark psychology of Marcus Aurelius reduces to one unforgiving truth. The world belongs to those who command themselves first. So, what's your next move? Emperor or slave? The choice isn't coming. It's already made. Act accordingly.